Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady D.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. And we are back.
But we're not alone.
We are not alone.
Yay, we're back.
We are back. We are having another great interview today. So we would like to welcome Bear to our show.
Hello, everybody.
So Bear is the one that made right now my most favorite flogger.
It's not just your favorite flogger. It is everybody's favorite flogger.
It does get a lot of attention and a lot of people like it. And you were the one responsible for making it.
What makes it so awesome?
So it was a custom made.
Yes.
I had certain specifications that I wanted on this flogger. I wanted it, first of all, it had to be heavy. I wanted it heavy. I wanted the falls to be thuddy, and I wanted it to be long in length. And you came up to the plate and knocked it out of the park with this one, because it is an amazing flogger.
And everybody uses it. They grab it, and all the submissives love it, including me. Including me.
Well, I'm glad made to order.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one is.
I mean, I have yet to see a flogger that you have made that I haven't liked. I got to hit the lottery before I just come to your shop and just buy everything that you have.
Well, I appreciate that. I put a lot of care and thoughtfulness into what I make for people.
Right.
And I listen. That's the key right there. If somebody says, I want X, Y, and Z, they want X, Y, and Z.
Right. So you absolutely listen to my requests on that flogger, and the quality of it, the quality of the leather.
Oh, and the handle.
The handle is phenomenal.
Haven't seen any other handles like that.
Right.
In any of the ones that we've purchased or seen, or the events that we've been at. Your handles on those are amazing.
Yes. All right. So before we get too far into your business, we want to know a little bit more about you.
Absolutely.
So, Bear, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I came into this lifestyle, I would think, a little later than others.
Okay.
Me too. Sorry, didn't mean to distract you, but I did it a little bit later. Okay, keep going.
I think the first event that I really went to, I investigated things online a little bit, because the internet was a thing. And you look around at you start typing things into Google, and you find what you find interesting, right, and then you fall down these rabbit holes.
I agree completely. Down the rabbit hole we go.
Exactly. And as it turned out, I had a coworker who was more out.
Okay.
He was actually outed by other people.
He was open about his lifestyle, is what you're saying when you say he's out?
Exactly. He was out because he got outed.
And then he just decided, since I'm already here, this is what I'm just going to be me.
Exactly. But I knew I had a very good working relationship with him, and he and I became friends, and we had mutual respect for each other because of our interests, you know, as people.
Right.
And I was in a long-term relationship that was monogamous and vanilla at that point.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. But it was a really good relationship.
They usually are.
It's just things happened in that relationship and we wound up growing apart.
Okay.
So this I had already I had from my investigations online I learned about kink and BDSM and things like that, and I always knew on some level. We'll probably get back to this later, but I always knew on some level that my interests and the things that I wanted to explore were a little different than other people.
Okay.
So I knew he was out, and I knew he had been involved in specifically the local kink community, attending community events, things like that. And so I went to him and was like, "Look, man, tell me what you know. I'm confiding in you here. This is something that I want to explore. How would you go about this if you were a newbie?" And I think I was 41 at the time.
Okay.
I'm 48 now. And I was just like, I want to explore this. I want to find out what this is like. I want to see if this is right for me. I didn't have any preconceived notions as the role I took.
Right.
Got it.
Just that this was of interest to me, and I want to follow my passion.
Gotcha.
Since we don't know who this individual is and there's no way for us to figure it out, what was his interest in the kink community? Did you know, since he was outed, did you know what it was, or did you just know he was kinky?
I just knew he was kinky.
Got it. Okay.
And then talking with him and getting to know that side of his life, was able to find out what his interests were
Okay.
Gotcha.
in impact play and leather bondage
Okay.
rather than rope bondage.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So he opened my mind up, and sort of the homemade or improvised
Yep.
kink equipment. But he pointed me in the direction of a few places that could help me identify what some interests were. He told me how to find local community individuals that could.
Did you have any inkling of what you kind of liked? I mean, you said kink, but at that point, before he directed you, did you know what kind of kinky you might be?
I had a couple of ideas.
Okay.
So I can remember the first kinky thought I ever had, and I thought about this knowing that I was going to have this.
Tell me.
I decided to take a little trip down memory lane.
Nice.
So I can remember the very first kinky thought I ever had.
Okay.
I was watching this magic special on television.
All right.
Okay.
What's kinky about a magic special?
We'll get to that in a minute. So I was watching this magic special, and the magician's assistant was dressed up in this very scantily clad, tight outfit. She was wearing pantyhose and high heels and just looked scrumptious.
Right.
But I was a kid, so I had this focus. I was thinking, wow, this is kind of awesome. I really enjoy this. And next thing I know, he's putting these handcuffs and ankle cuffs on her. And he puts a gag on her.
Oh.
And he puts her in a chair. And then he blindfolds her. And then he puts her in a box. And I thought...
I never thought that would be kinky, but I could see.
Yep.
And I thought, yeah, I'd like to do that to somebody.
I love it. Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
And that was the very first kinky thought I ever had.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, I remember growing up watching magic shows and
Wanting
stuff
to
like
be
that.
a magician.
Wanting to be a magician. But my mind never went to that. But with you saying that, now I'm thinking back going,
They always
they
are.
all did that.
They did that.
Holy hell.
Yep.
That is, yeah. I'm glad that's a great one. I
It
love
is.
that story.
That was amazing.
Okay, so then you, but that was a long time ago, right? With the first memory you have of it. But then you involved in life and you're in a relationship and you're not thinking all these things all the time.
Exactly.
Women kind of get more of it because we read a lot of romance, and that's where I would see things or read things that were Woo, some things, yeah.
I get the vapors.
Exactly. And then we reach a point where now you're finally found somebody that you are friends with that is kind of, you know, that he's part of the kinky world and
Yep.
he's directing you. So we're into a community.
Yep.
And what happened?
So I started going to dinners at first and just getting to know people because there's a vetting process, as you know, that has to happen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They want to make sure that you know how to behave in public, that you can keep your hands to yourselves, that you're not going to behave in a manner that is unseemly or unbecoming.
You've never been that. Like, there are people that I could see doing that, but with you, Bear, never.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be a question that you would be stand up.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
One of the most respectful people that we have dealt with, you know, through Club Tempted, which, you know, obviously where we met. But again, always, we haven't ever had anybody disrespect us to begin with. Everybody has that respect level of everybody, but it's almost like you go above and beyond before saying anything, before doing anything, before touching anything, before doing anything. It's always, can I?
And very,
Or may I?
yes.
You know, so yeah, always have the respect level that you give, that we try to match with you to be just as respectful to you as you've always been to us. So yeah,
So there's-
definitely you no problem fitting in anywheres in the community with that.
I take that as a high honor. The way I look at it is, you know, you have to learn etiquette, you have to learn manners, you have to learn how to act around people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That means you're educating yourself. That means you're learning things. And knowledge is power.
Yes.
Okay. So what you're doing when you demonstrate that you have manners and etiquette and respect for other people, you're showing I am a powerful person because
Exactly.
I have educated myself in these ways.
Exactly.
And it adds to me and my sense of respect that I cultivate with the individuals around me.
Yes. I could see that.
So yeah, and I'm a human being, so it's not like I haven't been rude or anything like that. But I try to keep it in the top of my head when I encounter people, especially if I don't know them.
Right.
People will demonstrate what their boundaries are
If
to
you pay attention.
If you pay attention and you listen.
It is a huge thing because, again, we attend a swingers club, which is, we're BDSM, but we're going to a swingers club, which is a lifestyle club. They totally are doing a great job of being all inclusive of all the paths of lifestyle. But the core of it, a lot of the people are more, I guess it's not anymore. It's better than 50. It's probably 50-50 at this point between all the BDSM people. But because of that, there are a lot of areas that the respect and the knowledge of what we are isn't there. And so that's part of the podcast, the educating, the dungeon time that we do is in order to educate others.
Right.
Well, anytime you throw you're doing a scene in public and you have an audience, that's a teaching moment.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. And you can teach as much and you can have as much instruction from having something go wrong and recover from that as everything going perfectly, everything going exactly the way you want it.
Right.
How you recover from things is equally as important to everything going right.
We don't get to see you play that often, though.
I don't really in
Publicly.
public. Yeah. It's because one of my partners, I have two.
Okay.
One of my partners, she and I were able to let things go a little bit better in private.
Okay.
And when we run a scene in private, usually we're both nude. You know, so there is an openness and a vulnerability there.
Right.
So at the club, you're not as able to open up and be as vulnerable in that way with her. Now, I've not run a scene with my other partner at the club at all because she doesn't really attend that much.
Gotcha.
It's just work and things like that. Life
Right.
prevents my other partner from attending as much as she would like to.
Right.
It
Now,
happens.
Now, there is the one scene that we have talked about on this show,
The tickle scene.
the tickle scene.
Yeah,
And we have talked to the individual that wanted to be tickled, and
Jade.
and we had her here for Subby Day.
Yes. And
But
yeah.
sadly, unfortunately, we had some serious technical difficulties
With the
audio.
audio.
So-
Nobody knows this yet.
Yeah.
We haven't, this is going to be well after this. So, but yeah.
But during so we have talked to her about it, and so we have her full understanding of why she enjoys that. Still blows my mind. I would not like that. That would be a torture for me.
But she
enjoyed it.
She deals with pain
deals
on
with
a
the pain.
regular basis.
Yes.
And she says the tickle scenes let her feel something outside of her body pain.
Right.
And to me, that's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing.
And
so
that was one of the scenes that we seen you do with her. And I don't know, and you don't have to disclose any of it. I don't know how much you have tickled Jade in the past, but you knew exactly where to go. You
The level?
knew the level of how fast you went, how hard you went, how much time you stopped in between.
yeah, Master Nick would have a
was-
terrible time with all of that because he doesn't like being tickled.
Yeah.
So as a result, tickling somebody, he would have a difficult time figuring those cues out
Right.
because he just doesn't enjoy it.
But it was an amazing scene to watch, something that totally blew my mind. It was one of the first or second times of even meeting and talking with you that we got to watch that. What preparations did you take prior to that scene?
Well, Jade and I had a couple of really long conversations about it.
Okay.
You may be surprised to know this, but that was the first official tickle scene I had ever done.
Really? Okay. Well,
But-
I mean, and that's interesting to know.
But I got to know her.
Right.
Okay. So I wanted her to feel comfortable in vocalizing harder, faster, more, less, those sorts of things, and be out about it and to express that.
Right.
As a submissive, she is really great at being communicative.
Yes, and that's important.
Is that the right word?
Yes.
At communicating. So she's there are, and I'm one of them that falls under not great at saying stuff. We have the stoplight system, and of course, I use green if I need it a little bit harder, but she will actually tell you, she'll ask you to come closer because most of the time she's restrained, and she'll communicate to you what she'd like more of, not just give me, I love that about her.
Yep.
And I made sure that I listened to her. We had we negotiated the scene really well,
Okay.
which I'm a big proponent of.
Right.
I believe thoroughly, and there's no insignificant question in a scene negotiation.
Correct.
So I found out about where not to touch, where might hurt, where might not hurt. Because I'm this is what, about a year and a half ago now?
Year and a half, 2 years.
Maybe 2 years. So it was just a matter of asking questions and engaging.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And in that process of asking questions and engaging, I already had a friendship with her. So what I was doing was I was establishing the bond necessary to run a good scene for me.
Right.
And for her.
Right.
Building her confidence, building her comfort level, and letting her know that she was going to feel safe with me and that I was going to listen if she said stop or slow down or anything like that. Make sure that she knew
Right.
that it was a safe space for her to express herself.
Right.
Right.
And that's ultimately highly important
So
Absolutely.
I think we started this with you started going to after your friend,
Oh, yeah. Let's
after
get
you
back to
started
that.
going to the dinners
Well,
because
hold on,
you're
hold on.
establishing.
Before we move forward from this, one more thing I do want to say on the tickle scene. It is very surprising to me to find out that that was your first time of
Yes.
tickling anybody to begin with.
Well, in a
Because,
scene.
yeah, in a scene. But because the way everything went, and you talked earlier about sometimes you make mistakes and you learn from them and you build from them. I didn't see any mistakes. I didn't see any time where she was in pain. There wasn't a single time where I felt she was about to say yellow or red or whatever the safe, y'all safe words were. And it went exceptionally well. And so that to me,
And
that's
afterwards, you could see her coming down from all the pleasure.
Yeah.
The tickling actually gave her pleasure.
she loved it.
Yeah.
So that is, I love that story. And again, very well prepared, very well set up, and very well executed on your part and her part.
I appreciate that.
And so, yeah. Okay. Back to you, Lady D, to continue your question.
So I was just going back to you started the dinners,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we started with the fact that you're respectful. They wanted to vet you. So
Yes.
you went through that. Then what happened?
So I went to a meet and greet that was a coffee meetup. That was the first thing I did.
Okay.
That was real brief.
Yeah,
It was
it's coffee.
Maybe an hour. We were there for maybe an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. And we just chit-chatted, found out about, just what's your interest, what do you want to explore, things like that.
Right.
There were 4 people there besides me, and I am the only person from that coffee meetup that stuck with it.
Okay.
After that was a community dinner, which I went to and enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself at the dinner, and so found out that a week after that, there used to be a dedicated dungeon space
Yes.
Yes.
in Louisville,
Yep.
and then it closed.
Yep.
Correct.
And I
Around the time of COVID, when
Yeah.
the world shut down and everything stopped.
Mm-hmm.
That was when we started exploring anyways. We were exploring and then everything's gone.
Oh yeah. But I got involved. That was in 2016, 2017.
Okay.
So we were rolling like gangbusters there for a while. It was like
Dungeons, dungeon play.
dungeon play. Every Saturday night, you go out to the dungeon, you hang out, you meet your people, and it was a safe, sex positive dungeon space. It wasn't like a swinger club per se, but
Correct.
it was a sex positive dungeon space.
Right.
I had a lot of fun there. I met a lot of good friends. I got to know a lot of people, and then my interests expanded.
Of course.
We used to do a classroom once a month.
Educational, like on
Exactly.
a topic or a thought, like a topic or a kink or a,
Yep.
We would learn new skills and things like that. And then we had some really good educators.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. And I'm very thankful to those people, though I count some of those people as friends to this day.
Right.
So we would have an opportunity to expand our knowledge. And I started paying attention. And that was when I learned I was interested in impact play.
Okay.
So before that, you had already been going to the dungeon, though, you said.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, was it concurrent? The education was concurrent with the dungeon, like at the same time in your
Exactly.
world, but it was different. Like, was it weekday nights or something that they did the education?
No, it would be, we would have a party every Saturday night. And so for an hour or so before the party, maybe 2 hours before the party would kick off, we would have like a seminar or a class
Got it.
and learn about this particular kind of play or that particular kind of play. Or if you're into that particular play, how to be safe about it.
Yep.
how to negotiate.
Safety is one of the
scenes.
big things that a lot of educators do because you just don't know when you're starting.
Exactly.
So
So impact was one of your first parts of BDSM that you wanted to get into.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I saw the effect that it had on the
Dom or the sub?
sub.
Okay.
I was trying to think of the terms that I wanted to use for the purpose of the conversation. But like I said, at that point in time, I didn't know what I really was, what role I wanted to take.
Right.
So I found a person who was willing to perform an impact scene on me.
Okay.
I've had impact scenes done on me. I want to know what
You
that's
want to
like.
know what it feels like. Yes.
Exactly.
I agree with it 100%. I just don't. I know that I am not going to get any enjoyment out of it.
He
so
hits
therefore
himself
that-
with the
yes.
implement
I
so
do-
that he
I
can
do
see.
hit myself with the stuff to know what it feels like, but that is more of the traditional Dom submissive. Before becoming a Dom, you must submit and go through that path. So you wanted the impact scene on you to get 100% full understanding.
Of what you
what
you
it was.
said, you didn't even know at the time
Right.
what you were into. You were just exploring all the bits and pieces,
Exactly. I wanted to know.
what it felt like and what it
Yeah.
was like. And
Yeah,
so,
and-
what did you get? Did you get enjoyment from being hit? I mean, this is a non-judgment zone. I just am curious.
So yeah, I enjoyed the scene. I the person who I had the scene with, they weren't necessarily mainstream in the community,
Okay.
but it was a person whom I built a friendship with, and they
Trusted.
You trusted.
yeah, trusted them, and they were able to say, okay, and they were a sub, but they were switchy.
Yeah,
So
which is why I hit Chris. I'm switchy.
I was just like, look, new to this, I'm figuring out what my roles are. I want to know what this is like. I know you're a switch. I want to know what it's like to be flogged. I want to go into subspace. I want to know what subspace feels like.
Did you actually get into subspace?
It's very difficult for me to get there, but yeah.
Okay, so you were able to during one of your sessions or whatever. Was it multiple or was it one time?
Oh, we did a few. We did a handful of
Because
them.
one time isn't enough. I think that your brain is too focused the first time you do something, and I think it takes multiple times in order for you to fall into the feelings and sensations.
Yes. And I learned a lot about how I like to run a scene from, I hate to say this, from how the things that they did not necessarily do. Now, there was a great scene, don't get me wrong, but there were things that I wished had been a little different. And I was, I voiced those things, and we changed those elements, and it improved. But I was also learning how to use my voice. I was learning what my identity was. And then she said, hey, let's switch places. And that was like, I think the third or fourth scene that we ran together. She said, hey, let's switch places.
And there it went down in history.
Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, this feels right.
Yeah.
Right.
This feels right for me. And, we did another scene after that, and it was just like,
If you could see the expression on his face as he's saying that, it was like, when do I get to go?
exactly. When do I get to pick up the toy?
Right.
Yeah. And that was how we went after that, and it was
But it's amazing because recently we had Milady K on, and she does a lot of sensory sensation type play. And we actually got Master Nick to agree to lay down on the massage table after the episode was recorded and the dungeon was recorded, and we got to play. And Milady K brought some stuff to the table that he had not thought of doing because he hadn't done it in the past. So now he mixes in some more sensory things during the impact that is amazing. Like, he enjoyed it so much that he wanted to incorporate it into his
Right.
scenes, and
Yeah.
it
I
has
mean,
improved things.
That's one reason why I love watching other people perform a scene, because everybody thinks differently. You pick up different things. Ooh, I might want to try that, or I'm interested in that, or wonder what they, for me, I'm like, wonder if Lady Diva will like that, or if it'll be kind of like a little punishment I can use. And then,
Always thinking.
yeah. So that day of the sensory play dungeon, and then I thought, you know what? Let's give it a shot. I love having my back scratched, so I thought that, there'll be more stuff, and there was quite a few implements that they used that I loved. There was a few implements I was like, nope, get rid of that.
Yeah.
But I now have a question of going back to, so you started off as a sub in an impact to your friend.
Yes.
I'm not going to say you started off as a sub. You
To a
started
person.
off as a bottom
Correct.
to your friend in impact, and you had several scenes, and you did hit subspace. But then when you got your chance to use the implements and be the top, had that experience not happened, had they not asked you to switch, do you think you would still be progressing along more of a sub or a bottom? Or do you feel that in the back of your mind during those scenes, you still was thinking there was more to it?
Oh, I knew there was more to it.
Okay.
There was an itch that wasn't being scratched
Gotcha.
So you would have continued exploring until you found it.
until that itch got satisfied.
Okay.
Yep. Makes sense to me.
Yep.
And it was when I started being the one who was doing that until I put on the top hat, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I like it.
until I put on the top hat, I didn't feel it click. It wasn't like it's like, oh yeah, this is fun. I'm getting something out of it.
Right.
But
So as a
this
dom,
piece.
how would you describe what subspace is? I know I didn't ask you this question because I didn't know it was going to come up. So how would you describe what subspace felt like to you?
For me, it was a sort of a buzzy body feeling. It was an all over, not just in the areas that were being impacted, but it was an all over sort of, how you will have after a long walk or like a lot of physical activity, you'll feel this almost like pins and needles feeling all over your body, and your body kind of
jittery, like.
yeah,
feeling.
your body is just a buzz.
Okay.
Sort of an electrical feeling all over your body.
Okay.
That's how it felt like for me. And I was a little floaty, very, very happy, really serene. Sensitive parts of my body from the impact play, of course. And I just absorbed it.
Right.
Okay.
That is a good description of it.
Yeah.
That a sub probably wouldn't have come up with the same way. So yeah, that's a good description. I would say that explains it very well.
It's hard to explain how your body reacts and feels to begin with, but that I can picture exactly what you were saying on that. So, so have you done, since you put on your top hat that one time, have you went back to be a bottom other than that one other time? And you said afterwards, and you just like, this ain't really it. So no more bottoming for you.
No more bottom.
Okay.
I just the switch clicked over.
Right.
for me.
And you said that your impact, it's heavy impact, and that's kind of
Heavy
So
thuddy.
have you gone into explore different areas of topping? Do you do
Yes.
other? Okay.
Yes. I also like sensation play and the aforementioned tickle play.
Right.
Sensation play is there are a lot of implements for pressure,
Yes.
hot and cold,
Yep.
dull, sharp.
Yep.
And how do I play with the senses
Right.
of a person?
Correct.
Well, Lady K loves to hurt somebody and then use something sharp and pokey, and then she wipes it away. She says, "I'm wiping away that pain
With something
some
soft
fur
and
or a feather." And so she'll go across with the Wartenberg wheel and then immediately come back across with something furry. And that's one of the things he started incorporating into our play because he enjoyed the sensation of that wiping away.
Oh, that felt great.
I like hot and cold a lot.
Great. You're just the person we need to talk to more after this, okay?
Okay.
All right. You like hot and cold.
Hot and cold play and directed pressure.
Okay.
That is something he's recently picked up from Loki at the club.
Yep. It was something I learned from him one night, and it's
Become a favorite of his and
favorite
a
of me
not
and
favorite of mine.
she loves it. Don't let her lie to you.
No,
So,
I don't.
Are we talking about pressure points or?
Yes.
He
So the thing that Loki has is a big wooden ball.
Oh, I've seen. Yeah, I know what
Right.
you're talking about. Yeah.
So he was using it one night, and he would just put it up somewhere against Christina's body and would apply pressure. And that triggered a thought in my head. So I had, at the time, it was a cane. So it was much smaller in diameter, like way smaller in diameter, about the diameter of an ink pen, but it was my cane. And what I would do is I would get it out and just kind of tap around on the body, but I would take the very end of it. I'd put it right in the middle of her butt cheek and press
on my psychotic nerve.
right on her. We call
Sciatic.
it. We call
I know
it
it's a
psychotic
sciatic,
nerve.
but we call it a psychotic because when it's bothering you, it's psychotic.
Oh yeah.
But I would put it against her and apply pressure, and it's like her legs just like give out from underneath her. So I fell in love with doing that. I haven't really explored
impact or
much
anything?
other of the body other than just that center butt cheek, but definitely curious to find out more about the
What you
pressure
do.
points and your play.
Well, I had I keep in my sensation kit. Well, I don't really pack it around that much because it's heavy. I have a length of two lengths of chain,
Okay.
like toe chain, and I will put them in a freezer.
Oh, fuck that.
So I've put them in a freezer. I've used that. I'll lay that chain down somebody's back.
Okay.
And then I will take something warm and I'll go down either side of that, side of their back with something warm. I've also laid it across legs and arms and gotten really close and been like, you can't move that. It weighs so much.
Oh, so you're adding some mental stuff into it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So the mind is the playground.
Right.
Yes, it really is.
And so that chain will be there and they're like, how heavy was that? That's a piece of chain, show it to them. They lift it up. They're like, that was holding me down. It felt like it weighed 100 pounds.
Right.
So one of the things that we are trying to educate people that BDSM is not about pain. It can be if that's what you want, but it is not necessarily about pain. And what you're describing is nothing to do with pain.
Correct.
But it is a submissive's enjoyment.
And a dom's enjoyment.
Yes.
BDSM to me is not necessarily about the acts that you do.
Okay.
It's not about the flogging. It's not about the sensation play or anything like that. It is about being in a moment with somebody and understanding that the control and the power that is being exchanged in that moment is the thing. That is the act. And BDSM isn't always all about power exchange, but for the purposes of a lot of the scenes that I run, and it's
Not just your
very
scenes,
cerebral.
because Tanya and John witnessed one of ours where they were not running around all over the club for one time, and they witnessed one of our scenes, and they said, we could see basically with our eyes the connection between you two. where he was flogging you and you could see like it was building, it was building, it was building. And once he gave you an orgasm, you could literally feel the release in the air, like not the orgasm necessarily, but the release of that tension that had been building during the impact play and during all of the stuff.
Yes.
The release is it's a physical thing, and it crosses airwaves and mental waves and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You when you build a scene like that, and you're all about the energy that you're trying to produce.
It is energy. That's it.
You know, I get that a lot with my partners in private.
You know, what's sad is that means that other people are not there witnessing some of the things that are maybe other people aren't as good at. So at some point, it might be nice to have a scene or two where you're in the club where others can see another type is what I'm saying. Like, but I understand why you do
Correct.
it privately, but by not doing it publicly, you're not sharing that with
Right.
people that,
Yeah.
maybe have needed to see that to make it.
Just like she's saying, I understand 100% why, but I just want you to know, I would be standing in line. I would camp out like they do at fucking Best Buy. I would camp out hours in advance to buy a ticket to see some of your scenes, because I'm finding out more about you than I even thought. So the sensation play, the heavy play, the temperature play, the mind control now that you like to play.
We're done with the interview. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great time.
Nope, we are still digging in because again, and
Let's shut the door on this mind control
I
thing.
mean, I've been introduced into the BDSM a little over 5 years, so I definitely don't know everything. And the more I talk to people like you and others that we've done for this interview, I'm finding out more and more that there's not a whole lot that I do really understand. And there's so much more out there that I want to learn and that I want to be able to, do I like it so that I can incorporate it, or do I not like it, but at least I tried it, you know?
So you have mentioned that you are you have two submissives. Are they considered submissives? You're in a relationship with two other individuals.
I have one collared submissive. I'm polyamorous.
Okay.
I have one collared submissive, and she and I have been together for over 2.5 years.
Okay.
It's a very good relationship. Met her at the club, actually.
Surprise, surprise. And what club would that be?
Club Tempted.
Of course.
And it's weird. So that connection was instant.
Okay.
Okay.
I can relate.
She and I were talking. We were having this conversation. She looked at me. Her eyes were the size of saucers. Okay. She looked at me. I looked at her. There was the thing that got exchanged in that look between me and her, and it just clicked. And then I kissed her, and then it was like lightning hit both of us.
Yay.
I'm telling you, the earth shook.
Nice.
So I said, "Here, let me check something." And I grabbed a handful of her hair, and she just went, "You know the sound. You know the sound."
And
Yep.
then, like, they kind of just sink
Melt.
into
Kinda
it.
melt.
We sink into that kind of. If you grab my hair and you're doing it the right way, obviously not, trying to yank it out, I feel the instant release in my body, and there's that. Yeah, that's awesome.
And
Okay.
then there was a thing in the back of my head that said, "This woman is going to be submissive to you."
That's what you were like, but that's the test. I mean, when you grabbed her, you were checking to see if there is that
Any
little
kind
bit
of
of
reaction.
kink.
Right.
Yeah.
And because again, once you've dived into this world, could you back it back out to a vanilla relationship?
I'm permanently changed.
Yeah.
This is a part of me now. This is who I am.
Right.
And there's absolutely zero wrong with it. And it makes me crazy that our world finds there's something wrong with this. Not as bad as it was 20 years ago, but there's nothing wrong with what we do as consenting adults. We're all adults consenting.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then that was your collared submissive.
Yes, and I'd had a shorter term relationship that was strictly BDSM related with another lady. From 2019, I would say, until about 2021, it was we enjoyed an informal dom sub dynamic. Let's say she wasn't collared or anything like that, but it was informal, and so we remained friends, but we wanted different things out of our relationships.
Right. So you kind of just drifted apart a little bit.
But you would come together for DS stuff.
Yeah,
Is that
DS
what you're
stuff.
like? It would continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we might touch on this a little bit later. In about 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I had a near-death experience.
Master Nick, why you always got to leave everybody hanging like this?
Well, that's how I show dominance over this podcast. I am in control of it. Make sure and come back next week as we continue the interview with Bear to find out more about him and what he's willing to share about his near-death experience. See you next week.
Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.